The restoration of the Mamaroneck train station was an exciting project, but it did have certain challenges. Some of those challenges were operational, some of those challenges were economic, and some of those challenges were architectural. So we're going to discuss now how we overcame some of those challenges. The first operational challenge was to realize that this was an active train station, that there was a tunnel where commuters were coming in, coming and going from their cars to the trains or coming from the trains to their cars. So the first question was, how do we deal with that operationally, and what should this building be? What would be the right thing for the community? The obvious answer was a restaurant. So at the first level, we decided we were going to put a restaurant, but would that pay for the extensive renovations that were needed for this building? And that led us to our second idea, which was to lower the ceiling on the inside and bring in offices to help pay for this economically. So it was both an operational and an economic challenge. To meet the operational challenge of how do we make this building work and the economic challenge of making the building work, we had to lower the floor on the inside. The original ceiling was 20 feet tall, and we lowered it down to 16 feet. That required bringing in a beam and bringing in a new floor. So we brought in a big beam and some new posts here to hold up the beam, and that allowed us to have a second floor here. But at the same time, it proposed architectural challenges because you didn't want to lose the history of the room. And so we wanted to protect the historic Palladium windows, and that required having a cutout so that on the lowered floor, you could actually see the Palladium window. So that's called a reveal. So if you look behind here, you can see what is called a reveal. So although the floor was lowered, there's a section there that allows the window to be seen and to be revealed. And so that was one of the operational and architectural challenges we faced. Having decided we wanted to make this a restaurant, we worked with the State Historic Preservation Office, or what's commonly known as SHPO, to preserve some of the historic details. So we wanted to have a restaurant, but we also want to respect the history of the building. So in speaking to SHPO, they wanted us to maintain the exterior of the building to the extent possible, and also, if we could, try to save the historic fireplace and also the ticket booths. So we incorporated both into our restaurant design. One of the operational challenges was how to make this fireplace a working fireplace. A wood-burning fireplace was not going to work and was not going to be allowed for safety reasons, so we brought in a gas fireplace. Originally, the building didn't have any gas at all, so we had to actually bring gas in from Mamaroneck Avenue 360 feet so that we could have not only a working gas fireplace, but also a working kitchen, which is behind this wall. To answer the operational and architectural challenge of reusing the ticket booths per the request of SHPO, we decided to put the bar in front of the ticket booth and use the ticket booths themselves with some subway tile being relined and putting the bottles there. Actually, originally the beer stations were there, but the next owner put the beer stations on the bar, and now it's the backdrop, and the ticket booth serves as a backdrop to the bar and an impressive entrance into the station. Another operational challenge was how to bring some more light into the space. The original doors had no windows on them, so the front door to the place and the side door to the place had no windows. They were just solid doors. And so what we did was we made replica mahogany doors, which are beautiful, which allow light to come into the space and lighten it up and brighten it up as people come in. But we wanted to reuse and reclaim the old doors for another purpose. So actually the old doors here, which are the original doors from 1888, were repurposed as a wall leading into the kitchen, which is behind this wall. The station originally had two tunnels leading out to the train tracks, so people could go underneath to catch northbound and southbound trains coming and going. When we took over the building, there was only one operational, which is the one to my right here, which people use to this day. The other one I'll show you in a little bit. That one had been abandoned and put to a different use. But this one is used today, which allows people to come right into the restaurant after coming home from work. For most of the 20th century, there was a wall here and there was a cutout for a newspaper stand. So behind here was all abandoned and boarded up, including that second tunnel. So once we opened this all up and turned this into a dining room, we also had to figure out what to do with the remnants of that second tunnel, which only went so far underneath the parking lot above. We decided to turn it into bathrooms, and you'll see what's at the end of it. We're now in the area that is that second tunnel, which was abandoned and stopped underneath the upper parking lot. We use this space to put the bathrooms here. So there's a men's room, a women's room, a family restroom, and also an employee's restroom. And beyond that, tucked underneath the cool area, underneath the upper parking lot, the restaurant's using it as a wine cellar. So I'll show that to you now. One of the challenges was how to make this work all economically. It was going to take a lot of money to put this building back into the shape that it needed to be in, and at the same time make it to be economically sustainable. So by having the restaurant and by having the offices up here, we were able to come up with a pro forma that provided for the viability of this project. And as a result, this building now, which had been off the tax rolls with the MTA, now generates over $60,000 a year in real estate taxes to the town, village, and county, and also provides employment and payroll taxes for the people who work in the building, in the offices, and work in the restaurant. So one of the operational and architectural challenges we faced was how to deal with the back of the house. Normally a restaurant has to have a restaurant hood that vents the kitchen and other things that go with the back of the house, such as garbage disposal. Given the 360-degree nature of this building, with commuters coming in from the train, going around the building, getting to their cars, people coming in the front of the restaurant, we really did not have a back of the house. And how do you deal with that architecturally? Because we did not want to put any type of big restaurant mushroom up on this architectural roof, because the roof faces at eye level to the platform where the commuters are coming in every day. So we wanted to balance that architectural concern with that operational concern. What we ended up doing was putting the venting system on the side of the building and containing it in a little bit of a historic looking bin that allows for the hiding of the venting system for the restaurant. But that was a challenge we had to overcome. We're now in the lobby of the upstairs offices. This is the area that used to be the attic. We lowered the floor by 4 feet because it was only 4 feet between the beam and the original attic. That floor was lowered down to 8 feet so we could create these attractive offices, the attractive loft-style offices. To the left is Verco Properties, our real estate office. To the right is a private equity firm called Topspin Partners. And behind me is a little conference room we call the Baby Shark Tank, because these guys fund mostly consumer products, and people come up from the city to talk to them about growing their business. So behind me is the Baby Shark Tank. We're now in the offices of Verco Property. Actually, this is my son, John. You'll notice here that arch we spoke about earlier, which is the wood arch, which was used to create the brick arch, which was then removed after the brick set. The floor here, which was lowered, has been outfitted with radiant heat, so the heat goes through the floor and comes up, and then the HVAC system drops the air conditioning down. We tried to preserve the historic look here by preserving the historic beams, but outfitting it with glass walls. So these are the executive offices of Verco Properties. This is my brother, Chris.
How are you guys?
You can see that we have the glass offices framed by the dramatic roof trusses and the HVAC system, and we kept intact the old look of the ceiling, the roof system. So
another thing to kind of point out is the wainscoting is actually the backside of what was the hung ceiling downstairs.
In the waiting room downstairs.
Right. So that wood is probably from the 1880s, is
1888,
that right?
reclaimed lumber, another environmental aspect of the project.
And then another cool feature, if you want to come in here, it is the windows. Those windows were there, and the ceiling height was basically right at the top of the wainscoting. And so when we lowered the ceiling about 3 or 4 feet to get the proper height clearance to get underneath the roof trusses, the window height actually ended up being perfect for our purposes as here in the office. And so that's a great feature. And then the
so we had windows on this side, but we didn't have any light on the other side. So on this side, if you swing around, you can see that we put in at the roof level, we put in dormers, which allow light to come in from the side where the train is, but not necessarily overlooking the train parking lot.
one other feature, if you wanted to come inside, if you look up, you'll see that we installed a grid system to establish a ceiling in the executive offices as well as the conference room. And this wood is
was originally part of the drop ceiling.
Part of the drop ceiling
that we removed to put in the new engineered floor.
Right. So that wood also is from the 1880s. And that serves as our grid, and then we have our drop down lights and our drop-down glass sections to provide a ceiling for the offices.
So these are the offices of Topspin Partners, the private equity firm. Again, we preserved the architectural detail, the drama of the dramatic roof trusses. We actually insulated these trusses, this building from the outside, so that we have insulation on the outside so you can still see the wood members on the inside, which leads to the drama of the architect. And you'll notice in this office here that the reveal, which allowed us to show the window downstairs, actually becomes a little bit of a shelf and a table in the offices so that we could see the window from below and have a little bit of a shelf up here in the office. So those are just a few of the challenges we faced in restoring the Mamaroneck train station. We want to respect the architecture of the building, make it operational, make it sustainable, and make it as good as it can be. We think the result is great. Community has enjoyed it, and thank you for being here, and it was a pleasure to be with you.